Something happened last night. Something you were never meant to know about. And yet, here you are. Reading these words. Feeling that pull in your chest. That tightness. That quiet fear you've been carrying all day. You felt it the moment you woke up. The air in the room was different. Their energy was different. You asked if everything was okay. They said yes. But you know that word. You've heard it before. You know when it's real and when it's a door being gently closed in your face. So let's go back. Let's go back to last night. Because what happened is still happening. And the picture is still out there. For now. What if everything you've believed about this person changed in one single night? What if the truth isn't what you think? What if it's much simpler, and much heavier? This is not about blame. This is about the moment you realize something shifted. And you can feel it in your bones. But the full story? The full story hasn't been told yet. You see, they didn't come home the way they usually do. You remember that. The door didn't open the same way. Their voice, it was softer. Too soft. Like they were trying to be quiet with the world. But you couldn't sleep. You were waiting. You were always waiting, weren't you? It's not that you don't trust. It's that you know. You know what silence means at 2:00 a.m. You know what a missed call means. You know what a vague text feels like. And you especially know what it means when they look at you, but they're not really seeing you. Their eyes are somewhere else. In another room. In another hour. In another pair of eyes. Don't skip this part. Because this is where the truth gets strange. This is where the story twists. What if I told you they didn't mean for it to happen? What if I told you it was completely innocent? And yet, it will change everything. But first, you must see what they saw. You must feel what they felt. You must understand the connection they found. In just one night. In just a few hours. With someone else. Maybe you've noticed. Maybe you've felt it for weeks. A subtle distance. A wall that wasn't there before. A smile that fades a little too fast. A hand that pulls away just a little too soon. You chalked it up to stress. To exhaustion. To the weight of life. But you know. You know it's more. And the picture? The picture will confirm everything you were afraid to admit. But here's the part no one tells you. That picture is only the surface. It's not the whole truth. It's a fragment. A single frame from a longer movie. And that movie is not what you expect. So before you see it, before you let it break you, ask yourself this. What if the person you love came back to you? What if they came back because they wanted to? What if the entire night was a test? A test they failed, and then passed? Do you still want to see it? Or do you want to know the meaning behind it? The real meaning. The spiritual reason. The reason it had to happen. This is where your heart gets quiet. This is where you stop breathing for a second. Because I'm about to tell you what they felt. Not what they did. But what they felt. And that feeling, it was real. But so is yours. Two feelings can exist at once. Two truths can stand in the same room. And you are about to see the one that was hidden. But hold on. Before we go further, I need you to pause. Think about the moment you knew. The moment your intuition screamed. Not loud. But deep. A whisper in your gut that said, something isn't right. You ignored it. You buried it under love. Under hope. Under years of memories. But that whisper is still there, isn't it? It's still speaking. And it's about to be heard. The next part of this story, it's not what you think. Because they didn't just stay out late. They stayed out for a reason. And that reason was not about you. And it was not about them. It was about something much older. Something that has been pulling strings for months. Maybe years. Can you sense it? The air is getting thicker. The truth is getting closer. But the complete truth? The complete truth is still one more layer away. One more heartbeat. One more secret. They came home and kissed you. But did you see their eyes? Did you see that little flicker of something? Guilt? Or relief? Or maybe, joy. Joy that they almost lost you, and didn't. That's the part you haven't considered. What if this night saved what was breaking? What if someone else was needed to remind them of your value? That's uncomfortable, isn't it? That someone else had to touch their heart to wake them up. To remind them that you are irreplaceable. And now, they're sitting across from you. Scrolling through their phone. Acting normal. But there's a picture. One picture. And it's going to be deleted soon. You need to see it before it vanishes. Not because it will destroy you. But because it will set you free. Because the truth is never as simple as it seems. And the picture? It doesn't show betrayal. It shows something else. Something fragile. Something human. Something you're not ready to understand. Not yet. But you will. You will soon. What if the picture is not about them? What if it's about you? What if it captures a moment of realization on their face? The moment they realized they nearly lost you forever. Does that make it better? Or does it make it worse? That's the mystery. That's the tightrope you're walking. And I know you're scared. You're scared of what you'll find. You're scared of losing what you love. But what if what you're about to see actually brings you closer? What if it forces the conversation you've been avoiding? What if it's the push you both needed? The next move is theirs. Or maybe, it's yours. Because the picture is just a moment. But the whole night? The whole night is still unfolding. And you have a role to play in the final scene. You don't know it yet. But you will. You will understand. Let me ask you one more question before we go deeper. Have you noticed that your heart is beating faster? That's not fear. That's anticipation. Your soul knows that something huge is about to be revealed. Something that will reshape everything. But the picture is not the end. It's the beginning. And it hasn't been deleted yet. So you still have a choice. Look for it. Or let it go. But if you look. If you really look. You might not just see them. You might see yourself. And that is the most terrifying part of all. The next part of this story is almost ready. But you're not ready for the whole thing. Not yet. There's more. There's always more. One more truth. One final piece. And then, the picture will make sense. But only if you stay. Only if you keep your heart open. Only if you trust what you feel. Because the feeling you have right now? That's not anxiety. That's the truth knocking at your door. And it's about to walk in. One more layer remains. The biggest one. And it will change how you see everything. But that's for a moment. A moment that is almost here. Almost. Do you feel that? That's the calm before the storm. And the storm is just beginning. Because the night isn't over yet. You're still holding on to that feeling. That heavy, tight, suffocating feeling. But here's something you didn't expect. The person you love? They didn't spend the night with a stranger. They spent the night with a memory. A ghost. An echo of a life they thought they had left behind. And that's the part no one tells you about. That's the part that makes this story so much more complicated. You see, they weren't looking for someone new. They were looking for someone old. Someone they used to be. That picture you're so afraid to see? It captures them in a moment of pure nostalgia. A moment where they forgot the present. A moment where they forgot you. But only for a second. Only for a heartbeat. And that heartbeat is what scares you most. Because if they can forget you for 1 second, what else can they forget? Don't leave now. This is where the story opens up. What if they met someone from their past? What if that person looked at them the way you used to? What if they were seen in a way they haven't felt in years? That's the dangerous part. That's where the heart wanders. They didn't go looking. But they didn't turn away either. And that's the quiet betrayal you feel. That's the sting. The person you love. Their heart is good. You know this. You know their intentions are not evil. But good people make bad choices. Good people get lost. Good people get pulled into the gravity of something they don't even understand. And last night, they were pulled. Not by force. Not by manipulation. By something much more subtle. By a question. A question someone asked them. And that question was, do you remember who you were? The moment they heard that, something inside them cracked. A tiny crack. A hairline fracture in the image of the life they've built with you. And that crack grew. And it grew. Until they were sitting at a table at 2 a.m. with someone who knew them before you. Before everything. Before the bills. Before the routine. Before the silence that sometimes fills your home. And they talked. And they laughed. And they remembered. That's all they did. They remembered. But isn't remembering a form of unfaithfulness? Isn't it? When you look into the eyes of someone who knew you when your heart was wild. When you were free. When you were unbroken. Aren't you giving them a piece of yourself that belongs to someone else? That's the question that haunts you. And that's the question the picture answers. The picture doesn't show them kissing. It doesn't show them holding hands. It shows them looking at each other. A long look. The kind of look that says everything without words. The kind of look that makes you feel invisible. Even if you're standing right in front of them. You can feel it, can't you? That look. It's burned into your mind. Even though you haven't even seen it yet. Because your heart already knows. Your heart already saw it happen. Even when your eyes were closed. Even when you were asleep in your bed. Waiting for them to come home. Now they're home. And the picture is still on their phone. It's still there. Waiting. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. They haven't deleted it because they want to keep it. They haven't deleted it because they feel guilty. They haven't deleted it because they're hiding something. They haven't deleted it because they don't know what to feel. They're confused. They're lost. They spent the night with someone who made them feel like a person again. Not a partner. Not a parent. Not an employee. A person. And that person looked at them with wonder. With curiosity. With something that felt like fresh air. And when they came home, they realized something terrible. They realized they missed that feeling. Not the person. The feeling. The feeling of being seen for who they are. Not who they have to be. And that's the part that breaks you. Because you can't compete with a ghost. You can't compete with a fantasy. You can't compete with a version of them that no longer exists. But you also can't walk away. Because you love them. You love them still. And that's why this story isn't over. That's why there's still hope. Because what they felt last night, it wasn't real. It was a shadow. It was a flicker of light from a candle that burned out years ago. And when the sun came up, when the morning light hit their eyes, they looked at you. And they saw something they didn't see last night. They saw reality. They saw stability. They saw love that didn't need to remember. Love that has been there all along. But here's the problem. They still haven't deleted the picture. Why? Because they want to remember the feeling. Not the person. The feeling. And that's dangerous. That's the open door. That's the crack that can become a chasm. So what do you do with that? What do you do with the knowledge that your partner is holding on to a moment of escape? A moment that didn't include you? You can't force them to delete it. You can't force them to forget. You can't force them to love you the way you want to be loved. You can only wait, watch, and hope. But hope is not passive. Hope is not silence. Hope is not pretending you don't see what's in front of you. Hope is the quiet decision to stay open. Even when everything inside you wants to close. Even when you want to scream. Even when you want to grab that phone and throw it out the window. But you don't. Because you know that the picture is not the problem. The problem is what the picture represents. The problem is what it means. And the meaning? The meaning is still being written. The night is still unfolding. The story isn't finished. And you? You haven't even asked the question that changes everything. You're afraid to ask it. You're afraid of the answer. But you need to ask it. Not tonight. But soon. So I'll ask you now. Just to prepare your heart. Just so you're ready. When the moment comes. Will you ask them? Who were you with last night? Or will you ask them? Who are you now? Because those are two very different questions. One brings the past. One brings the future. And the future is where you both need to go. But you can only get there if you stop looking at that picture and start looking at their heart. Their heart is still beating for you. It's still there. It's just a little lost. A little confused. A little scared. Just like you. And that's the truth they haven't said. That's the secret they're holding. They are just as terrified as you are. They are just as uncertain. They don't know why they stayed out. They don't know why they talked so long. They don't know why they didn't walk away. But they came back. That's the part that matters. They came back. And now they're sitting next to you. Wondering if you know. Wondering if you feel it. Wondering if the picture has already been discovered. And they're waiting for you to make the first move. That's the ending you haven't reached yet. The move you haven't made. The choice you haven't chosen. And in that choice, everything changes. One more layer remains. The final piece of the puzzle. The moment the picture disappears. And what happens after? But you'll have to wait. You'll have to breathe. You'll have to stay with me. And the moment you've been dreading has finally arrived. They are about to delete the picture. You can feel it. That shift in the air. That quiet sigh. They're scrolling through their phone, and their thumb hovers. You can see their face change. The expression. The slight tremor in their hand. They're not just deleting an image. They're deleting a version of themselves. A version that almost walked away. A version that almost forgot who they truly are. And here's the truth you need to hear. They don't want to delete it. Not because they want to keep the memory of that night. But because they're afraid. Afraid of what happens after. Afraid of letting it go. Afraid that without that picture, they'll never feel that feeling again. But you know what? You must let them delete it. You must let them make that choice. Because if you force them, if you grab the phone, if you demand to see it, you'll never get the truth. You'll get a confession. But not a truth. And there's a difference. A confession is something they give because they have to. A truth is something they give because they want to. And you need them to want it. For your heart. For your future. For the love that's still breathing between you. It's still there. That love. It's bruised. It's tired. It's confused. But it's still there. You can feel it when they sleep. They move closer to you. They reach for you in their sleep. Even after everything. Even after all those hours. They still reach for you. That's not a coincidence. That's the truth trying to break through. That's the part of them that never left. That's the part that knows you are home. But home isn't a place, is it? It's a feeling. And right now, they're afraid they've lost that feeling. And you are too. Because when they delete that picture, something will happen. Something you can't control. Something that will change the air between you forever. And you're not ready for it. But you can be. You can be ready if you accept one thing. One simple thing. Here it is. You cannot save them. You cannot remind them. You cannot force them to see what they have. That's not how love works. Love works in silence. In patience. In the tiny moments when you choose not to react. When you choose not to accuse. When you choose to hold them anyway. Even when you're broken. Even when you're angry. Even when you feel like a stranger in your own home. Hold them. Not because they deserve it. But because you do. Because you need to be the one who stays. Not just physically. But emotionally. Spiritually. You need to be the one who looks at them. And sees the struggle. Sees the fear. Sees the humanity. And chooses to stay anyway. That's the power that picture can't show. That's the power that no scroll or swipe can erase. That's the quiet power you've always had. The power of presence. But that's not enough, is it? You want more. You want answers. You want to know why. Why did they stay out so late? Why did they look at someone else that way? Why didn't they come home to you? I'll tell you why. Not to protect them. But to protect you. Because you need the truth. The complete truth. And it has nothing to do with that person they met. It has nothing to do with that night. It has everything to do with something that died. Something inside them. Something they didn't even know was gone. Until they looked into a stranger's eyes. And saw a glimpse of it. The feeling of being alive. Not as a partner. Not as a provider. Not as a responsible adult. But as a soul. A soul that was tired. A soul that had forgotten its own name. And for one night. They remembered. That's hard to hear, isn't it? That someone else reminded them. But here's the part that changes everything. They didn't fall in love. They fell into a memory. And memories are not real. They're just echoes. And echoes, they fade. But you are real. Your hand is real. Your heart is real. Your presence in their life is real. And that presence is the reason they came home. Not because they felt guilty. But because they remembered. They remembered that the person they were with was a ghost. But you are flesh and blood. You are the one who makes the coffee. You are the one who holds them when they cry. You are the one who stays when leaving would be easier. That is love. Not the memory of it, but the life of it. And that life is still beating. But you're scared. I know you are. You're scared that this isn't the end. You're scared that there's more. More they haven't told you. More that will come out in a week. In a month. In a year. I can't tell you that's not true. I can't promise you that nothing else happened. I can only tell you this. What matters right now is not what they did. It's what they will do. Will they reach for you? Will they sit you down and speak from their heart? Will they admit that something was broken and ask you to help fix it? Or will they pretend? Will they put their phone down, kiss you on the forehead, and pretend this night never happened? That's the moment you need to watch for. That's the moment that decides everything. Because if they stay silent, if they hide behind normalcy, then the picture was not the betrayal. The silence is. The silence is the real wound. The silence is the thing that will eventually make you leave. Because you cannot heal what cannot be spoken. And you cannot love what cannot be seen. But what if they speak? What if they sit you down and tell you the truth? The whole truth? What if they say, I almost lost myself last night. But you? You brought me back. Even though you weren't there. Even though I didn't tell you. You brought me back. Would that change everything? Would that be enough? Or would the picture still haunt you? Would the image still flash behind your eyes? I don't know. That's your heart's question. That's the moment that's coming. And you need to be ready. But not ready to fight. Ready to listen. Ready to hear. Ready to see the fear in their eyes. Because underneath the guilt, there is shame. There is regret. There is something broken. And they don't know how to fix it. They're reaching for you. Even now. Even as they delete that picture. They're reaching for you. The question is, will you take their hand? Or will you walk away? There is no wrong answer. Only the one that keeps your heart alive. Only the one that brings peace. And peace is the thing that's missing. Not just in their heart, but in yours. You've been searching for it. For months. For years. In their love. In their presence. In their promises. But peace doesn't come from them. It comes from you. From your decision. From your surrender. From your choice to stop holding on to a picture that never belonged to you. And when you let it go, something will happen. Something beautiful. Something that will surprise you. Because the person you love will finally see. They will see that you are not their accuser. You are their sanctuary. And that changes everything. That changes the entire story. But you're still waiting. Still wondering. Still holding your breath. That's okay. That's the journey. That's the unfolding. And the final truth? The final truth is only one more layer away. Just one more. And then the picture will mean nothing. And you will mean everything. But only if you stay. Only if you trust. Only if you believe that what is coming is greater than what has been. So take a breath. Let your shoulders drop. The picture is gone. Now it's just you and them. And the rest of your life. That's where the next chapter begins. Right here. Right now. And I promise you, it's worth it.